Believe it or not, the time has finally come. You've primed your brain for accounting, and you've gathered all the required information about your business and its current status. Now we get to make the company file. This is actually the easiest part. If we open QuickBooks and do not currently have a company file open, the No Company Open window will appear. Of course, we can choose a company from here, or on the bottom left-hand corner, we can create a new company. We can also access the New Company option by accessing the File menu. We'll go ahead and just give this one a click or a tap. We're presented with a window that promises us that we're going to get our business set up quickly, and it's actually pretty true. We do have a couple of options here, though. The easiest and the fastest is to use the Express Start. Here, we will simply answer a few basic questions, and we'll let QuickBooks do the rest. That's recommended if you don't have a lot of accounting background or experience, or a lot of specific things that you know you want to implement. If you are a little more experienced, or you know a little bit about accounting, try clicking or tapping Advanced Setup. This is going to take a little bit more time, but also give you a few more options instead of having QuickBooks make decisions on your behalf. Now, don't worry too much. All of the important things will be asked and be given an opportunity to answer. These are really the fine points, and we can change a lot of them, for example, by modifying the chart of accounts on our own even after the setup is complete. We're going to use the Express Start, so we'll move to the upper right and give that a click or a tap. Because these days everything is tied to registration in the cloud, QuickBooks wants to verify our email address and make sure that we have an account with Intuit. If it knows the email address that you already entered as part of registration, it will display that here and then ask you to enter your password. If QuickBooks does not find an account for the email address, then you will be prompted to actually create the account. It's really nice to know that at the bottom, we also have the option to set up the company file both locally on this computer and on Intuit servers. This basically gives us the ability to sync information and access QuickBooks from almost anywhere. To learn more about that, there is a link that you can follow. We are not going to use that feature, but instead move to the bottom right and click Continue. The next screen is the one that asks us for that basic business information that we've already discussed. We need to know what the company name is, what the industry is, and what type of company it is. We also have the option to include a tax ID, a TIN or an EIN, or we could use a social security number if we're a sole proprietor. We can also designate if we have employees. We're going to set up a company file for the You Got It Training Company, so we'll enter that as the company name. This is the name that will be shown on invoices and reports, so it's important to spell it correctly and also to use the formal name that you want to appear for those types of formal documents. Next, you can choose the type of industry that you're in. If you're not quite sure, you can use the Help Me Choose link on the right side of this field. This is actually a fairly important entry because this is the entry that QuickBooks is going to use to customize your chart of accounts. Now, it may not be perfect, but if we can find an industry that is close to what we do, then the chart of accounts will basically be complete, and all we have to do is maybe personalize it just a little bit. We're going to go ahead and enter computer training for our industry. Notice that if we type something that QuickBooks doesn't recognize, as soon as we move off of the field, it will tell us that it's an invalid industry. My recommendation would actually be to use the Help Me Choose option, unless you know exactly what the code is that you use on your taxes to identify your particular type of business. It's never too late though, so let's go ahead and click or tap the Help Me Choose option to the right of the screen. This is actually the screen that we've seen in QuickBooks for years. The prior one was really an update, and it works well sometimes, but as we saw, sometimes it doesn't. Now, don't be worried if you can't find your exact business. We're simply trying to get accounts that are like the ones that you'll be using for your accounting. So try to find the one that is most similar. If we take a moment to simply scroll through the list, we will see that there really are a lot of different options. One that is very similar to what we actually do at You Got It Training might be information technology, computers, and software. So we'll give that a click. And then on the right-hand side, we can see a sample of the chart of accounts that will be created. When we do this, we notice that a lot of these accounts have to do with the physical sale of computers, hardware, and software. And that's not really what we do. But that's okay. We can go back to the list on the left and continue to look. If nothing in the list looks good to you, then it's okay at the bottom of the list to choose either a general product-based business or a general service-based business. Once this is selected, we can click or tap OK on the bottom right. This brings us back to our original screen where we were putting in our general business information. Now we're down to where we have to select a company type. And this is where, if you don't know already, you might consult with your tax or legal professional. Our choices include sole proprietors, partnerships or LLPs, single member LLCs, multi member LLCs, corporations, which would be a C Corp, or an S Corp, not for profits, or we can even choose other or none. This is actually an important choice to make because once again, QuickBooks is going to create certain accounts in the chart of accounts that are appropriate and necessary for the specific tax forms that you'll be filing. For example, when we talk about owner's equity, the term for that is actually different if you're a sole proprietor than it would be if you were part of a corporation. For our purposes in our sample file here, we're just going to choose sole proprietor, and we're going to leave the tax ID blank, and we're going to say that we do not have employees. Remember that not many of these choices are written in stone, but the best choices we can make now will ensure that our chart of accounts is set up initially as accurately as possible. Now we'll go ahead and click Continue. The next screen prompts us for our legal business name, which is different than the business name we entered the first time. There are several reasons why the legal name might be different than the name that you go by, and if it is, you can simply enter it here. Otherwise, we will normally enter address, city, state, country, and phone information, as well as email. We can also put in a website. There are only a couple of required fields, but I suggest that you put all of the information in here now. Otherwise, it'll just need to be updated when you go to print your forms so that your forms have the accurate information as well. We'll go ahead and enter this information offline and then come back so you don't have to watch me do a bunch of typing. You'll notice that once we complete all of the required information, then we have the option to either preview our settings or the option to simply go and create the company file. We'll go ahead and give that last one a click or a tap and let QuickBooks do its magic. And voila, after just a few seconds, maybe up to a minute or so, you've got a company file, and QuickBooks is happy to notify us of that. All we have to do now is start adding our information. That means it's time to take a deep breath and let it out slowly. And if you feel like it, give a quick little woot woot because you have created a QuickBooks company file and you're now ready to begin using it. You should be feeling a little bit of satisfaction and also a little bit of comfort, knowing that the planning and time that you invested is now going to enable you and your business to move forward with an accurate and functional accounting system. That is QuickBooks, and you are ready to go.